The Rules Committee confirmed an interpretation by the Secretary Rules Editor that during rip-through moves, if the contact occurs during the horizontal movement, it is not a shooting foul. If the contact occurs during the vertical movement, it is a shooting foul. Officials will first determine when the contact occurs and then decide if the movement was more horizontal or more vertical upon contact.
Number 13 Gold defends number 1 Gray by placing his arms out in front toward 1 Gray at the top of the key. 1 Gray rips through horizontally to make contact and then begins a drive to the basket. The initial contact occurs during the horizontal portion of the rip-through. Since 13 Gold was not in a legal guarding position and there was illegal contact, this was correctly called a defensive foul by the trail official. Number 11 White defends number 5 Blue by placing his arms out in front toward 5 Blue. 5 Blue rips the ball through horizontally to make contact and then moves vertically into a shot attempt. The initial contact occurs during the horizontal portion of the rip-through and not in the act of shooting. This non-shooting foul was correctly called by the trail official. Number 11 Red defends number 1 White by placing his left arm out in front toward 1 White. 1 White rips the ball through low and horizontally, then moves vertically into a shot attempt when contact occurs. The initial contact occurs during the vertical portion after the rip-through. This is a shooting foul, but was incorrectly called a non-shooting foul. Number 14 Blue defends number 11 White by placing his left arm out in front toward 11 White. 11 White rips the ball through low and horizontally, then moves vertically into a shot attempt when contact occurs. The initial contact occurs during the vertical portion after the rip-through. This shooting foul was correctly called by the trail official. Number 4 White defends number 1 Black by placing his right arm out in front toward 1 Black. 1 Black moves the ball vertically into a shot attempt when contact occurs. The initial contact occurs during the vertical movement of the ball. This shooting foul was correctly called by the trail official. We will now look at some specific plays relative to each of the directives.
We have made significant progress in the past several years giving the ball handler freedom of movement. Games that end up being too physical usually start when officials allow too much contact on ball handlers. Officials are instructed to start the season calling 10-1-4 fouls, continue the enforcement of Rule 10-1-4, and not back down.
Rule 10-1-4. The following acts constitute a foul when committed against a player with the ball. A. Keeping a hand or forearm on an opponent. B. Putting 2 hands on an opponent. C. Continually jabbing an opponent by extending an arm or arms and placing a hand or forearm on the opponent. And D. Using an arm bar to impede the progress of the dribbler. Number 3 White catches a pass at the top of the key. Number 13 Black uses both hands to chuck his opponent and slow him down. 13 Black gains a significant advantage by being allowed to chuck his opponent illegally. This is a 10-1-4 foul and needed to be called. Number 25 Red dribbles the ball near the top of the key. Number 11 White uses both hands to check his opponent and slow him down. 11 White gains a significant advantage by being allowed to check his opponent illegally. This is a 10-1-4 foul and needed to be called. Number 4 Red attempts to dribble the ball to his right near half court. Number 21 White switches defenders and attempts to hedge for Red. 21 White is moving forward, doesn't get to the position first, and trips for Red. This is an obvious 10-1-4 foul and needed to be called. During this throw-in, number 2 White attempts to get the ball. Number 24 red body chucks 2 white and causes the ball to go out of bounds. Officials at times take the path of least resistance. Officials are instructed to call the rules as written. This is a 10-1-4 foul and needed to be called. Number 3 white dribbles the ball near the top of the key. Number 23 black uses both hands and his body to check his opponent and slow him down. 23 black gains a significant advantage by being allowed to check his opponent illegally. Both the center and trail officials correctly call this 10-1-4 foul. We have made progress in reducing physicality in the post area. However, post-play physicality remains as one of the directives that must be improved. Officials are instructed to focus on this area during the 2020-21 season. Offensive players cannot use a straight arm to ward off their opponent. Offensive players are allowed to post up with elbows bent. Defensive players cannot lay on an offensive player or swim stroke their arms. Officials should look for the first displacement in the post and penalize accordingly. This play is an example of the officials allowing the post physicality to get out of control. First, number 3 white reaches across and lays on number 21 black. Then 21 black uses both straight arms to ward off 3 white multiple times. These are fouls and needed to be called. Number 25 blue posts up legally with elbows bent. Number 20 white lays on and reaches across 25 blue's body. The trail official correctly calls a defensive foul on 20 white. Number 1 white posts up with his right straight arm warding off number 51 red. 1 white then uses his left straight arm to ward off 51 red. Unfortunately, we call a defensive foul on 51 red. This is an offensive foul and needed to be called. Number 35 white posts up and chucks number 10 gold with his left forearm. The lead official correctly calls an offensive foul on 35 white. Number 14 black posts up and wards off number 32 white with his right straight arm. The lead official correctly calls an offensive foul on 14 black. Post back-down plays are becoming a problem in our game. There has been an increase in these back-down or bump-bump plays. Officials are instructed to call the first displacement foul. Number 25 white catches the ball with his back to the basket. Number 21 black legally defends the play. 25 white displaces 21 black twice prior to his shot attempt. This is an offensive foul and needed to be called. Officials are instructed to call the first displacement in the post. Number 23 green catches the ball with his back to the basket. Number 35 white legally defends the play. 23 green displaces 35 white twice prior to his shot attempt. This is an offensive foul and needed to be called. Officials are instructed to call the first displacement in the post. Number 23 white catches the ball with his back to the basket. Number 42 blue legally defends the play. 23 white displaces 42 blue prior to his shot attempt. This is an offensive foul and needed to be called. Officials are instructed to call the first displacement in the post. Number 33 black catches the ball with his back to the basket. Number 20 white legally defends the play. The first bump caused by 33 black is met with equal pressure by 20 white. The second bump by 33 black displaces 20 white prior to his shot attempt. This is an offensive foul and was correctly called by the lead official.
When a screener's feet are excessively wide and the defense runs into the screener's torso, the foul will be called against the defense. When the screener's feet are excessively wide and the defense runs into the leg of the screener, the foul will be called against the offense.
Note: Anytime a defender runs through a screener's torso when the screener has given the defender time and distance to avoid contact, the foul will be called on the defender. Number 5 blue dribbles the ball to his right near the top of the key. Number 22 blue sets an excessively wide screen on number 21 white. 21 white blows up the screen and makes primary contact with the torso of 22 blue. The center and trail officials both correctly call a defensive foul on 21 white for running through the torso of 22 blue. Number 32 blue catches a pass on the wing and dribbles to his left. Number 11 blue sets a moderately wide screen on number 23 white. 23 white blows up the screen and makes primary contact with the torso of 11 blue. Defensive players must make a legitimate attempt to go over or under the screen when they have time and distance to avoid the screen. The trail official correctly calls a defensive foul on 23 white for running through the torso of 11 blue. Not only is the screen set by number 5 blue an excessively wide screen, but he also chicken wings number 3 white. 3 white runs into the leg of 5 blue. This illegal screen was correctly called by the trail official. Not only is the screen set by number 0 white an illegal blind back screen, but it's also an excessively wide screen. Number 12 black runs into the leg of 0 white. This is an illegal screen by 0 white and should have been called. Number 4 blue dribbles the ball to the wing and pitches the ball to his teammate prior to setting a moving screen on number 0 white. Screeners must be stationary and give a moving opponent a step to stop or change direction. The center official correctly calls an illegal screen on 4 blue. Number 4 red catches a pass at the elbow. He then pivots into a moving opponent. 4 red must give number 0 white a step to stop or change direction. This moving screen is an illegal screen and needed to be called. Number 1 white dribbles the ball near half court. He then pivots into a moving opponent. 1 white must get stationary and allow number 23 black a step to stop or change direction. The trail official correctly calls an illegal screen on 1 white. Number 3 blue sets a screen on number 4 white. 4 white slips the screen. 3 blue then re-screens 4 white. On the second screen, 4 white goes under the screen, gets to the position first, and then is wiped out by 3 blue. Both the trail and lead officials correctly call an illegal screen on 3 blue. Number 5 black defends number 10 white at the top of the key. Number 22 white attempts to set a screen, pauses but never gets stationary, and then rolls into 5 black. 5 black gets to the position first and is entitled to that spot on the floor. The trail official correctly calls an illegal screen on 22 white.
Cutters must be allowed freedom of movement. Officials have done a good job of allowing cutters to move freely. The rules book states in order to maintain legal guarding position on a player without the ball, the guard shall give the opponent enough time and distance to avoid contact. Let's look at some plays.
Number 11 gold cuts to the basket from the wing. Number 15 red slides into his path and chucks 11 gold. Both the lead and center officials correctly call a defensive foul on 15 red. Cutters must be allowed to move freely. Number 10 gray moves around the top side of a legal screen and then cuts to the basket. Number 31 green uses both hands to chuck the cutter. Both the lead and center officials correctly call a defensive foul on 31 green. Cutters must be allowed to move freely. Number 10 white completes the throw-in and then attempts to make a cut for the ball. Number 5 red uses both hands to hold and hinder the cutter. The center official correctly calls a defensive foul on 5 red. Cutters must be allowed to move freely. Number 1 blue catches a pass on the wing, passes the ball back to his teammate, and then attempts to cut across the key area. Number 4 white uses his left arm and his body to chuck 1 blue to hinder his progress. Cutters must be allowed to move freely. This is a foul and needed to be called.
We continue to see an increase in offense-initiated contact in our game. It is imperative that officials understand the requirements to establishing and maintaining legal guarding position found in Rule 417. Officials are instructed that if a defender is legal, that is, he places both feet on the floor facing his opponent, maintains a legal position, and stays within his own vertical cylinder, do not reward offense-initiated contact on a legal defender. Ugly is not always a foul.
Number 0 white drives to the basket and creates all of the contact. Number 24 blue, a secondary defender, legally walls up to defend the play. This play was legally defended by 24 blue and was correctly ruled a no call by the lead official. Number 2 black tries to back the ball down from the wing. Number 3 red legally defends the play. 2 black uses his left arm to ward off 3 red. The lead official correctly calls a player control foul on 2 black. This is an example of not rewarding the offense when the defense is legal. Number 0 white catches the ball on the wing and drives to the basket. Number 5 blue establishes legal guarding position and moves to his left, legally defending the play. 0 white initiates all of the contact on this play and is correctly called for a player control foul by both the trail and center officials. This is an example of not rewarding the offense when the defense is legal. This is a very hard play. Number 3 green drives to the basket and creates all of the contact. Number 5 black, a secondary defender, legally walls up to defend the play. The contact to the midsection of 5 black causes his arms to come down slightly from a vertical position. This play was legally defended by 5 black and should have been called a player control foul. We must stop rewarding offensive-initiated contact on legal defenders. Number 4 green dribbles the ball across half court and to the wing. Number 22 white legally defends the play. 4 green shoves off with his right forearm 3 times before being called for an offensive foul. While we eventually get this play right, it took 3 ward-offs by the offense to do so. We must stop rewarding offense-initiated contact on legal defenders. While the officiating community has many difficult traveling plays to adjudicate, the Rules Committee was emphatic that we improve our call accuracy on the basic footwork moves on the perimeter and in the post. Officials should focus on perimeter and post travels during the 2020-21 season. Let's look at a few plays. Number 25 white catches the ball with his back to the basket and begins his dribble. He ends his dribble with his left foot as his pivot, steps with his right foot, and then again with his left foot. This is a travel and needed to be called. Subsequently, 25 white establishes his right foot as a pivot and then slides his right foot prior to the shot. This is a travel and needed to be called. 2 travels on 1 play is unacceptable and puts the defense at a significant disadvantage. Number 25 white catches the ball with his back to the basket and begins his dribble. He ends his dribble with his left foot as his pivot, steps with his right foot, and then again with his left foot. This is a travel and needed to be called. The lead official is responsible for contact on this play. The trail official is responsible for the post travels. Allowing this type of move puts the defense at a significant disadvantage. Number 23 White ends his dribble with his back to the basket and his right foot as his pivot. He then turns on his right foot, steps with his left, and then repositions his right pivot foot. This is a travel and needed to be called. Allowing this type of move puts the defense at a significant disadvantage. Allowing offensive players to reset their feet on the perimeter can create a significant advantage. Number 5 Blue catches the ball with his right foot as his pivot, steps with his left, and then again with his right foot. This is a travel and needed to be called. Number 3 White catches the ball on the wing and drives to the basket. He ends his dribble with his left foot as his pivot, steps with his right foot, and then again with his left foot. This play is different than a play when the offensive player ends his dribble and possesses the ball with both feet off the floor and then establishes a pivot foot. This is a travel and needed to be called. The center and trail are responsible for this uncalled travel. While we do have room for improvement, we don't miss them all. Number 5 Blue catches the ball at the top of the key and subsequently switches his pivot foot. The trail official correctly calls a traveling violation on this play.
There are 3 very difficult traveling plays that officials have to adjudicate: the spin move, the Euro step, and the step back move. Officials must get to a good position, find the pivot foot, and officiate from the floor up to adjudicate these plays properly. Identifying when the offensive player picks up the ball is critical to adjudicating these plays correctly. We must get better at calling the obvious and egregious travels. It is also important not to split hairs on these plays. AR 215 says, on plays where the location of the foot at the time of ending the dribble is uncertain, the benefit of the doubt should rest with the dribbler having made a legal play by ending his dribble with 2 feet off the floor. Get the obvious and blow when you know it is a travel. Let's look at some plays.
Number 10 Blue drives toward the basket and attempts a spin move. He picks up the ball with his left foot as his pivot, steps with his right, and then again with his left foot. This is an obvious travel and needed to be called. During this transition play, number 2 White picks up his dribble with his left foot as his pivot, steps with his right foot, and then again with his left foot. The lead official correctly calls a traveling violation on 2 White during this Euro step play. Number 11 Red dribbles the ball near the top of the key, hard plants his left foot, steps with his right foot, and then again with his left foot to set up the step back move. This is an obvious travel and needed to be called. While this play would be legal in the NBA, it is not a legal move according to NCAA rules. Officials should not split hairs on these plays, but must know the rules regarding traveling.
The Rules Committee was emphatic that officials call the rules as written. From a practical viewpoint, that means if you're an official that says, "I'm not calling that, I don't like that rule," you are hurting the game, you're hurting your partners, and you're hurting yourself. Remove the apathy from your approach, ride for the brand, and call the rules as written. We have a great game, and you need to do your part. Officials are instructed to protect perimeter shooters from the beginning of the try through returning to the floor. Defensive players are not allowed to contact the shooter during an attempt. Defensive players are not allowed to encroach on the shooter such that the shooter has no landing spot.
Number 15 Black catches a pass at the top of the key and shoots a 3-pointer. Number 4 White defends the play, closes the gap, and takes away 15 Black's landing spot. This is a defensive foul and needed to be called. Shooters must be allowed to have their landing spot as long as no defensive player occupied that spot prior to the shooter leaving the floor. Number 1 black catches a pass on the wing and shoots a three-pointer. Number 4 white defends the play, closes the gap, and makes contact with the shooter as he lands. This is a defensive foul and needed to be called. The trail official goes high on this play and puts himself in a stacked position. Going low on this play would have allowed the trail to see the contact on the shooter. Number 2 white catches a pass on the wing and shoots a three-pointer. Number 3 blue defends the play, closes the gap, and makes contact with the shooter as he lands. This is a defensive foul and was correctly called by the center official. The center official goes low on this play and gets a great look between the players. Well done. Number 0 gold catches a pass on the wing and shoots a three-pointer. Number 25 gray defends the play, closes the gap, and makes contact with the shooter as he lands. This is a defensive foul and was correctly called by the trail official.
Officials should continue to focus on reducing physicality by calling fouls when one player dives on top of another player. Diving on top of another player is an illegal act and should be penalized.
Number 1 black dribbles the ball across half court and to the wing. He loses control of the ball and goes to the floor to secure the ball. Number 2 white dives on top of 1 black. Diving on top of another player is an illegal act. This is a defensive foul and needed to be called. Number 31 white attempts to catch a pass, loses control of the ball, and dives on the floor to secure the ball. Number 24 blue dives on top of 31 white. Diving on top of another player is an illegal act. The result of this illegal play was a held ball being called and the blue team gaining possession. This is a defensive foul and needed to be called. During this free throw rebound, number 20 white dives on the floor to secure the ball. Number 3 red dives on top of 20 white. The trail official correctly calls a defensive foul on 3 red for diving on top of 20 white.